A friend of mine recommended The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio to me as it is his all-time favourite film. Am I about to put my friendship on the line here with this review? Hi, my name's Stuart. Welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. I am finally talking about a film again, as mentioned in the intro. Good friend of mine who you might remember from my very first video on my channel. If you haven't seen that, you can click a link up here to see it. We went flying with our drones. You can have a look at that video. His name is Scott Wade Wilson. He's got a YouTube channel of his own. He travelled to Thailand because he got a bit fed up of everyday life in the pandemic in Vienna. So if you're interested in seeing videos from there, great drone shots and just general travel vlogging, you can click a link up here to see his channel. Why hadn't I seen it until now? Well, it's actually rather simple. During the 90s, particularly the end, I was a teenager back then, and Leonardo DiCaprio was this typical pretty boy who all the girls were infatuated with. But that kind of put me off him back then. Now I am a lot wiser, and now he is actually one of my favourite actors. I think he is really phenomenal, and that is something I will touch upon with this film as well later on, his acting. What was it like 20 years ago, over 20 years ago? The film came out in 2000, I think. But that is the main reason I wasn't even interested back then, because in this film he's still pretty much a pretty boy. What is it about? We follow this young guy, Leonardo DiCaprio. His name is Richard in the film, and he is traveling through Thailand. He is the narrator, and he tells you that he is not really into typical traveling, the staying in your average hotel, doing your average things and all this and that. He's looking for adventure. That's what he is all about. He meets this strange guy, this strange Scottish guy played by Robert Carlyle. Interesting to see, by the way, that Danny Boyle obviously enjoyed working a lot with him. He of course played Begbie in Trainspotting, one of the most interesting characters I have seen him play to date. But yes, they obviously love to collaborate with each other. So Richard meets this guy and they smoke some weed together, and he gives him this map. He tells him of this beautiful island. You can tell that his senses have been completely taken over by this island and what it represents, paradise, etc. So he gives Richard this map to go and find it. So Richard is on his travels. He sees this French girl who is with her partner, and he decides he wants to take these two guys with him to try and find this island, which they do eventually, and it does turn out to be paradise, the paradise that they had hoped. You've got the nice sandy white beaches, you've got the clear blue water, and it seems to them that there's not a care in the world. They are literally in paradise with a group of people who have settled there. And so from there, the film explores what this paradise island living is like, and the interactions within the group, and you have certain issues that pop up there. As per usual, I am staying rather spoiler free, so I won't tell you too much about what's going on there. Just one of the issues I do have with the film is, and this is quite big for me, it feels like two films at times. So coming back to my friend, to Scott Wade Wilson, he, for this current trip that he's on, has actually started doing videos in English as well. If you want to see them, you can click up here. And again, this is his favourite film, so this image of paradise, this is obviously what made him really want to go to Thailand and even seek out this very beach. He even has it in his videos with drone shots and all sorts of camera work showing you those beaches. So if you're interested in that and current day footage of that beach, I highly recommend it. For the first half of the film, I can clearly see why. You've got this guy Richard, he's on this quest to find this beach, and you can see that it's what he strives for in life. To him it represents basically heaven. You know, this is what he wants in life, that's all he needs. He doesn't need any materialistic stuff. It's great to see how eager he is, you can really see it. So it feels very genuine, this love, this desire to find a paradise on earth. And the images are lovely, of course. This beach in Thailand is really amazing. And so the first half of the film, and also when they get there and how they live there and this community that they find, etc. I really enjoyed that first half of the film. Second half of the film though, again, no spoilers, it turns into something quite different, and you have many situations that don't make sense, and it just feels that the script is sort of really just dragged a lot, and the quality just dropped somewhere midway through the film, which is really disappointing actually, because I had hoped for a different conclusion here. Something happens to Richard and it's just completely out of the blue, and it makes no sense. You're watching the screen because what you're seeing on screen is actually quite strange, and you're wondering, how did this come about and how is this explainable really? Because the story, it has a completely different focus all of a sudden. I enjoyed exploring this idea of having this community of people living on an island that is really secluded, and they're away from the world, they're hidden away, and they have their own way of life, and how do they get along, and what is their social life like, what are their social structures, do they have a hierarchy, all these kind of things, because you've got a community of, I don't know, I think it's about 30 people or so, so you've got a lot of things that happen there, a lot of things to consider in everyday life. So I found that quite interesting. You see some of it in the first half, but in the second half it just sort of deteriorates, and like I say, the focus shifts completely, which I feel is a shame because I think they could have done a bit more there. I don't know what the book is like, by the way. I forgot to mention this is actually based on a book, so I don't know what that is like, if maybe it's explained a bit in more detail in the book, which I would generally expect, or maybe it is a different direction they took in the film. I'm not quite sure, but I do hope that the book is better than the film in the second half of its story. One of the things people love about this film, of course, is the imagery. Thailand, of course, is very beautiful, and it's confirmed in these shots. Although, again, it is quite interesting, coming back to my friend, seeing these images. Yes, you have beautiful images in this film, and when you think about it, 20 years ago, they had high-end cinema cameras, all sorts of really high-tech equipment. And nowadays, he is there with his camera, which, yes, costs quite a lot of money, a couple of thousand euros surely. Definitely not as much as an actual Hollywood video camera. And the images he makes with that and his drone are actually, in my opinion, even better than the images you get in this film, which is really strange to think about. That really shows you how far technology has come in these 2 decades and how accessible it's become, because just a simple person, everyday person with a couple of thousand euros to spare can get equipment that makes these phenomenal shots that used to take Hollywood film crews back 2 decades ago or even longer ago. The island is absolutely beautiful, it's stunning, it makes you obviously think about having a holiday there, just lying on the beach. I myself am not a great beach holiday person. Yes, I'll enjoy being there for a day or two. I'm not the kind of guy who'd enjoy spending weeks and weeks there. That's not my kind of thing. I'd rather go and visit cities, etc., and do some sightseeing and that. It's one of these just Struan things. Remember that, it's back. Yeah, I just prefer sightseeing and walking about, looking at things, visiting places, instead of just lying there all day. Few days, sure, but that's all I need. If you're that kind of person, this film will definitely, especially during the pandemic, make you yearn for such places and make you go online and book your next holiday probably. Speaking of visuals, one particular hilarious thing which my wife pointed out to me is the actual logo poster of the film, whatever. The title, The Beach. It's when you look at it, it's orange and yellow. It looks like a typical word art thing from 20 years ago, which I found was particularly funny. Back then, someone went, "Wow, look at this word art! You've got 2 different colours and it's sort of transitioning from one to the next." Nowadays, it's like, looks a bit bad, don't use it. Generally speaking, that is one thing you can say about this film. Keep in mind it came out in 2000, and you can tell because it is very highly influenced by the 90s. So besides the word art thing and the hairdos, all these things are fine. You know, it's just when it came out, there's a one scene where you see someone accessing their emails. Seeing that image from 20 years ago, it's unbelievable. That's fine, you know, that's just when the film was made. One thing I don't think is a good idea, however, is they use contemporary pop music in the film, which, generally speaking, if you use songs, finished full songs, in a film, you need to have a really fitting scene or moment for it. It's actually quite a tricky thing to do. I feel that this film could have done a lot better by using more of a composed musical score, because you've got a few places in the film where a song is played and to me it felt completely out of place. And one last thing that is really of its time is there's one shot where the camera moves away from the island, it sort of zooms out and you can see the whole island, and it is so incredibly obvious that it's CGI, and it's really atrocious CGI. Again, a thing of its time. Although to think that just a year after the first Lord of the Rings film came out, so I'm not quite sure you could actually say that it's of its time. I think they could have done better. Nowadays, drone shots, every lay person can get a better one. But yes, that is all the 90s stuff I'll address in this. So yes, it's of its time. You know, the only thing I feel really should be changed is the music. The rest you can have a laugh at, because yeah, it's a bit like some time travel. One thing I do want to address is the acting. Again, like I say, I stayed away from Leonardo DiCaprio back then because he was the pretty boy. But I must say, watching this film, you can already see that he is really out acting pretty much everyone there. You have Tilda Swinton in the film and she does a good job as well, but Leonardo DiCaprio, is just the best actor in the whole film. There's no doubt about it, because it doesn't matter how small something seems, you can really tell that he pays attention to what's happening in the plot and how his character Richard should react to that. And it's just great to watch him work, whether he's just completely over the top or he's just got an earnest moment with someone else. It's really great. There are just a few instances where he's just overdoing it a bit, where he is overacting. But it's just a few. Really great job. So you can see where the actor that we know nowadays from so many films, where he really started with all that stuff. The focal point of the story is Leonardo DiCaprio's character, so there are not too many other characters there. There are, but yeah, not that outstanding acting-wise. Camera work is very interesting. I enjoy Danny Boyle's filmmaking. I like 28 Days Later, which is a great film. Trainspotting, of course. And you can see that he likes to play about with cameras. Really tries to figure out which angle he wants. So you've got some really great close-ups, especially of Robert Carlyle. You've got some really good ones, Leonardo DiCaprio as well. So you've got angles being used in a lot of different ways, and you have other shots where he reduces the frame rate to add more drama, more tension to the scene, to whatever's happening. He uses that a lot in 28 Days Later as well. I quite like that. So you can tell, I would say my reaction, my review in total is mixed. Scott, if you are watching, I hope you are. I hope you can forgive me that it's not become my favourite film. It's mixed, I'll say. My main issue with it is the story in the second half of the film, which I feel could be done very differently. It's a shame because it feels like it drops off from the first half. First half of the film, excellent. Makes you want to go on a journey straight away and look for your own personal paradise. I really like the character's motivation. One other thing I do have to mention is one of the big things in the film are sharks, and it's really a funny coincidence because I just listened to a podcast yesterday, just a few hours before seeing the film, and a marine biologist was interviewed, and he was talking about how just such a small percentage of sharks are actually interested in us, as in hunting us and eating us. And it was quite funny thinking about this film because you've got a shark and he is a big menace and everything, and you do see some shots of the shark where the shark is actually even smaller, quite substantially smaller than an adult human. And so that's quite funny to think about. After hearing that podcast, I was like, this doesn't seem quite accurate, but I know that sharks, of course, are beloved villain to have in water. Just being very over-factual and scientific about it, I just felt it necessary to mention it though. I would recommend that you watch it. Like I say, it's a very interesting film. If you love Leonardo DiCaprio, then I feel you should watch this as well, because you can really see his acting developing and really starting. You've got the images and so many other things that are likeable in this film. Maybe you'll enjoy the plot in the second half a lot more than I did. Or maybe you know the books and could fill me in on maybe what would make more sense in them. Either way, Share all your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel for more videos, and I will see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.